Which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones, right now, Donald Trump.
Better be ready for the fact that he might be leading the Republican ticket.
Next, I know you don't believe that, but I want to go on.
Mr. Trump will not be president. And the reason is because I have a lot of faith in the American people.
Any Republican candidate who's losing college-educated white people by 11 points is going to lose a national election, and badly.
Donald Trump is the most unelectable Republican I've seen in my lifetime.
Absurdity of a campaign that Trump is running here. This is a joke, and it's an absurdity, and it would be an embarrassment and a tragedy for this country if Donald Trump were somehow to be elected president.
Donald Trump, we project, will win in Kentucky, in Indiana, West Virginia, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Mississippi, South Carolina, Alabama, Kansas, Nebraska, and Wyoming, North Dakota, and South Dakota, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, the state of Montana, Missouri, Ohio, Idaho, North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Utah, Wisconsin, Arizona.
Some big news here, Megan. Huge news. Actually, the AP now projecting that Donald Trump has won the state of Pennsylvania.
This means that Donald Trump will be the 45th president of the United States, winning the most unreal, surreal election we have ever seen, and going down against 16 Republican candidates. What started off as unlikely, impossible, is now reality.
How did a man with no prior experience in politics create a successful presidential campaign that unearthed America's skepticism of globalism and unleashed an utter disregard for basic measures of equality throughout American society? Donald Trump was only able to get to the position of president through complex geopolitical factors, including manipulation of his supporters and ultimately the base of the Republican Party. Throughout the 2016 election, a substantial number of people lashed out against a government system that has been running without major disruption for over a century. Donald Trump tapped into people's frustration with the status quo of modern politics. It was a perfectly timed assault on government. In Trump's own words, he promised to drain the swamp and end corruption at the congressional level.
We're going to drain the swamp of corruption in Washington, D.C.
At the end of the day, Americans are completely sick of all politicians. We've had ineptitude for more than a decade. The approval ratings are in the toilet for 15 years. We've seen nothing getting done. We see selfishness over selflessness. We see their own political priorities over doing good things for the country and for us. We're just sick of all politicians.
I want to talk a little bit here about Obama. Universal kind of way. I wanted this guy's policies to not succeed. I didn't want all of this incompetence. I didn't want all this economic destruction.
Someone to do what he's doing after having gotten so much from this country has to be evil to the core.
These are people who just want to lecture us all day and tell us how to live and guilt us. Well, I'm not guilty, you fascist, evil slug, Obama. I could never have imagined an Islamic radical sleeper cell becoming president. I mean, I can't believe the CIA did this. I can't believe our governments did this. But after all, that's how much they hate America and Christians and guns and George Washington, baby.
These unfounded hyperbolic phrases represent how an increased population of conservative voters voiced their resentment towards the leading political class.
He deserved it. The next time we see him, we might have to kill him.
These statements portray how Donald Trump released a vein of hatred throughout American society.
Our country! Proud fucking American! Made in USA, bitch! Made in fucking USA! Come fucking cook my burrito, bitch! And build that fucking wall for me! Trump! I love Trump!
This type of charged rhetoric was becoming increasingly common in conservative outlets that had audiences of millions. The other 16 candidates on the Republican side laid the foundation for his way of thinking, in effect causing the farthest ideological right to hijack the Republican Party.
Citizens are furious, rightly furious, at a political establishment that cynically breaks its promises.
And let's dispel once and for all with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. Barack Obama is undertaking a systematic effort to change this country, to make America more like the rest of the world. That's why he passed Obamacare and the stimulus and Dodd-Frank and the deal with Iran. It is a systematic effort to change America.
You know, Obamacare is really, I think, the worst thing that has happened in this nation since slavery.
We should abolish the IRS. We need to padlock that building.
These new conservatives are unlike the previous flag bearers of the Republican Party. These men are against the idea of government at any level and cater right into the hands of Donald Trump's right-wing populism. They give a mainstream voice of resentment and distrust toward government of any kind. This anti-government sentiment set forth the foundation for the Trump electorate, giving him a perfect springboard to speak with conservatives directly. Trump's message connected with a group of seemingly disenfranchised Americans who felt left behind in the modern world. His attack gave people a seeming culprit for their lack of success.
We're not out there fighting for a man that was a celebrity. We're out there fighting for a man that's willing to take that leap of faith and fight for us.
This came at the expense of dignity of the American electoral process and created millions of loyal followers who were strung along by a series of melodramatic, overblown ideas.
For a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
Build a wall. It's going to be a real wall. It's going to be a wall that's powerful and that people aren't going to be going under or up or around.
Sneaky, dirty, underhanded people that want to kill our civilians because they asked me what I'd do. And I said, I'm going to bomb the shit out of them. It's true. I don't care. I don't care. Somehow I think that ISIS, Russia, radical Islamic terrorists, right? China, this maniac from North Korea. The only global warming we should be fearing, folks, is global warming caused by nuclear weapons. And if we're not smart, that's what's going to happen. We better get really tough, really smart, really vigilant, or we're going to have a problem. We better stop playing games, believe me. We better stop playing games. Wouldn't you rather have Trump as president if we're attacked? Oh, we'll beat the shit out of them.
These unchecked, volatile statements attempted to make American citizens feel disturbed and upset, causing them to react out of fear and not rationality. Trump, being known for his bombastic statements, says things that are blatantly untrue.
ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS, okay? He's the founder. And I watched in Jersey City, New Jersey, where thousands and thousands of people were cheering as that building was coming down.
Either he is willfully mischaracterizing what happened, which I hope is not the case, or he has memory issues.
These statements call into question his ability to synthesize information and mislead voters with false information. Trump was able to disregard facts because of his unwavering hatred and distrust for the media.
We are in a rigged system, and a big part of the rigging are these dishonest people in the media. These people are the worst.
In our modern society, the media is the medium responsible for delivering objective fact to Americans. Since Donald Trump has become the leader of the Republican Party, he has asserted that all media is corrupt, lying, and should not be trusted.
Very dishonest people. These are very, very dishonest people. Okay. dishonest press. These are not stupid people, but they're very dishonest people in many cases. Do we like the media? Do we hate the media? Okay.
This quite ingenious yet misleading strategy created a political climate in which Trump was able to make up his own facts without consequence, and his loyal supporters rallied behind him regardless of whether or not his statements are even the slightest bit accurate.
Voting is a privilege in this country, and you need to be legal, not like California where 3 million illegals voted.
Let's talk about that.
I'm glad I brought that up, Allison.
Me too, Paula. So where are you getting your information?
From the media. Where else
Which
would we
media?
get?
You, as you sit here today, think that millions of illegal people voted in this country. You believe that there was widespread voting abuse.
I think there was in some states.
In the millions of people.
California allows it. People
They do not allow illegal. You mean voter fraud?
Trump's statements emboldened members of the population to lash out against the media in ways this country has never seen before.
Just to give you a sense as to what we're dealing with at these rallies, Wolf, one Donald Trump supporters left this sign on a press table in the press pen. It shows a swastika and the word media. It is shaping up to just be a race to the bottom.
This divide in the media is a contributing factor to a much greater problem that has led to Trump's success. The extreme polarization between political ideologies in the Obama years has led to an increasingly large gap between the Democratic and Republican Party. According to the research conducted by the polling organization Gallup, more Americans label themselves as conservative rather than moderate or liberal. Yet the liberal percentage has been growing mainly at the expense of moderates. The Democratic focus of this change represents the expanding political polarization between the two parties. This polarization has led to especially vitriolic hatred for Hillary Clinton. It has given Trump a boost in the electoral process because Clinton is a centrist in the modern political arena. An example of this extreme political polarization in the United States is the issue of climate change. According to 97% of the scientific community, climate change is a serious issue that is caused by humans. Despite the abundance of convincing evidence, the Republican Party has denied the reality and threat of climate change.
Year on record, I asked the chair, you know what this is? It's a snowball.
Well, if you look at the world, in the history of the world, at all points in time, temperatures are going up or temperatures are going down.
What did you think of the global warming summit in Paris this week?
I think it's ridiculous. We have bigger problems right now.
The hoax is that there are some people who are so arrogant to think that they are so powerful they can change climate. Man can't change climate. And climate has always changed and it always will. There's archaeological evidence of that. There's biblical evidence of that. There's historic evidence of that.
Suddenly, this issue was becoming partisan, with Democrats supporting it and Republicans against it. However, unlike other partisan issues, there aren't two sides to this debate. As soon as Trump's party began to deny climate change, members of the population started to doubt it, lessening the legitimacy of the argument.
But right now, we are in a very strange moment in American history. And that is, we have virtually an entire political party that is rejecting basic science. And the science is no longer in doubt. Climate change is real. It is significantly caused by human activity. It is already causing devastating problems in our country throughout the world.
Due to religious beliefs and other factors, even the very fact of evolution is being challenged by Trump's party in a more mainstream setting.
A new poll shows one split that's widened in recent years. According to a Pew survey released Monday, some 67% of Democrats believe in the theory of evolution, compared to 43% who believe the theory on the Republican side of the aisle. If you're doing the math, that's a 24-point gap between the parties and an increase from the 10-point difference the poll found in 2009 and the 13-point difference found in 2005. According to one of the pollsters, the results were a bit of a surprise. CNN quotes her saying, "I didn't expect to see that kind of shift. I think it basically fits with a pattern of growing polarization, and we see that on some other science issues."
According to a recent 2016 Pew Research Center study, a staggering 34% of Americans reject evolution entirely. On a broader scale, when facts are overlooked for either corporate interests or simply because they do not directly further one's political ambition, democracy begins to crumble under the weight of reality.
This was on Donald Trump's first full day in office in the first briefing to reporters in the White House. The subject matter was to take on the news media over its reporting on the size of the crowd at the inauguration. It kind of defies logic on all fronts.
Why did the president send out his press secretary, who's not just the spokesperson for Donald Trump? Why put him out there for the very first time in front of that podium to utter a provable falsehood?
You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts to that. But the point remains.
Wait a minute, alternative
that
facts?
He said this: the media here is the opposition party.
A reminder that the president's top aide just told the New York Times that the press should keep its mouth shut.
These faults in the foundational layers of American politics created disarray in the Republican Party. Trump took advantage of this shift and gained a vast amount of support with uneducated, rural, working-class whites who felt left behind by the globalization of the modern world.
We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated. We're the smartest people. We're the most loyal people.
As with all presidential elections, Republicans crushed Democrats in land area, and Democrats crushed Republicans in urban centers. However, one metric stands out more than any other: the gap of education between Trump supporters and other liberals. According to a study conducted by the Pew Research Center, college graduates backed Clinton by a 9-point margin, while those without college degree backed Trump by an 8-point margin. This is by far the widest gap in support among college graduates and non-college graduates in exit polls dating back to 1980. As CNN anchor Van Jones pointed out on election night, Trump's election was a whitelash. Trump tapped into the frustration of rural, uneducated whites who have felt discounted in society since the days of segregation.
There's another side to this. People have talked about a miracle. I'm hearing about a nightmare. You tell your kids, don't be a bully. You tell your kids, don't be a bigot. You tell your kids, do your homework and be prepared. And then you have this outcome, and you have people putting children to bed tonight, and they're afraid of breakfast. This was many things. This was a rebellion against the elites. True, it was a complete reinvention of politics and polls, it's true. But it was also something else. This was a white lash. This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president in part. When you say, you want to take your country back, you got a lot of people who feel that we're not represented well either.
Trump's coalition of Republicans that disregard fact, demonize the government, and manipulate the media are the core elements of his growing movement nationwide and aided his fast rise to power among conservatives. The events that took place in the 2016 United States election were unprecedented and let loose a swarm of hateful, dangerous rhetoric that provided a stepping stone for Donald Trump to move toward an extremist conservative agenda that targets every citizen who does not conform in the United States. While the White House set the clock back 100 years, we as citizens must pay attention and get involved in the democratic process, opposing the oppressive, homophobic, xenophobic, and sexist isolationist powers of this conservative leadership and look toward a new progressive leadership in the future.
And they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists. Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States. So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations, Mr. President. Yeah! Oh, God, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. Oh, I don't remember. Took off her and I moved in her like a bitch. I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss them. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab them by the pussy. I can do anything. It's a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Stop it! Punished? Private abortion?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
So this was a long and hard-fought campaign. A lot of our fellow Americans are exultant today. A lot of Americans are less so. But that's the nature of campaigns. That's the nature of democracy. It is hard. You have to stay encouraged. Don't get cynical. Don't ever think you can't make a difference. As Secretary Clinton said this morning, fighting for what is right is worth it. Because that presumption of good faith is essential to a vibrant and functioning democracy. That's how this country has moved forward for 240 years. That's how we've pushed boundaries and promoted freedom around the world. That's how we've expanded the rights of our founding to reach all of our citizens. It's how we have come this far.